Welcome. This is Bob Dust. We will continue our discussion on C# code. Today we will talk about delegates. Now, a delegate is a data type. Delegate is a variable data type that is not an integer, it's not a string, it's not an object. Its value represents executable code. So to create a delegate, the keyword, C# keyword is delegate. And we will create a definition for delegate. Now the definition for delegate is similar to what we would have for a method header. Remember, right, method headers have a return type. In this case, it'll be an integer. We will give our method header a name. We'll name it numbers. And we'll pass it a parameter of an array of numbers. There's no code behind it because this is just a placeholder for our delegate. So let's come in here. I have already set up a array of integers for us here. So we can play with some numbers here. And let's come into here and we will type in some code. So let's create a variable for our numbers. Remember, numbers is our data type. We will give it a name of number. And I have already set up some supporting code here that will take a method here called sum the numbers. It returns an integer. It takes a parameter integer array parameter we call it numbers. Notice this matches our delegate here, and this matches our parameter here. So the number, the method header here matches the method header there. So we can say in here, number is equal to sum the numbers. Remember, this represents executable code, and here is our executable code. Now I'm going to hide this. It's still there, I'm just going to hide it. So we have a value here of a method named sum the numbers. Now let's create an integer total. It's equal to number, and we will pass it our array of numbers above. And so here's our array. We pass that to our delegate here, which executes the sum the numbers. So let's create a line of code down here where we will print out the total is total here. And why do I have that? Oh. Okay, I took out my system using assembly up here, put that back in. Now let's run this and we'll see what happens. Now I will tell you I have another application in front of this that's actually calling my delegate tutorial over here. So we will run this. We'll see the results from that. And we have the total is 385. Let me close this down, we don't need that. So as you can see, let me put a breakpoint here. We'll try this again. Put a breakpoint here. We'll start this. We will step into our code here. And notice it steps into our sum the numbers code here. And it adds up all these totals here. And we have our value, 385. So by executing this line of code, we execute it that method. Let me continue on. I'll show you we have our results over here, and we're done. So that's one way to do it. Again, delegate represents executable code. We assign a method here to execute when we call this number. Okay. Another way to do this is I'm going to change my number. I have another method called minimum number. Now notice I'm using the same variable, but this time I'm executing a different method. This time I would say int smallest is equal to number. Numbers. All right. And I will just add another console line here. And we say the smallest number is our smallest number there. This time, first time we come through, we'll execute some of the numbers. And the second time we come through here, we will execute, let's do that. We will execute the minimum number. Okay. Let's try that. We will run this. And we will see over here that we have the smallest number is 7. So notice the variable delegate name is the same. We just changed its meaning. First time through here, it ran some of the numbers. And the second time it ran minimum number. Same variable with a different value. Just like we change the value of an integer or a string, we're changing the value of the method that executes. Okay, let's look at a different way of doing this. This time, well, let's do number equal. Now I want the first number in the list of numbers. I'm going to say delegate, pass it an array of numbers. I'm going to return the first value in here. So the difference here is, up here I already have a predefined method. Here, I'm assigning it to the executable code itself, where I am passing it an array of integers, and I'm returning an integer, which is the first one in our list. You see that? Okay, let's say int first equal numbers. Now let's do the same thing again. We'll copy that. This time, I'm going to pass it the last one in the array. So to get the last one, I'll look at I take my array, look at the length of how many we have in there. Remember, because there's 0 offset, we have to subtract 1 from that, and we get the -1. So however many we have in here, minus 1 inside that array, and I get the last number. Let's do another line here. int last is equal to numbers. Again, this time I am passing it. I'm setting the code inside of the definition for my number of delegate. You see that? Okay, let's print that. And let's come in here and we will print that. So the first number is first, the last number is last. Let's run this code. And we will see that the first number is 42, the last number is 35, the total is 385, and the smallest number is 7. Again, we just keep reassigning the meaning of this delegate numbers here. Here we just assign a method. Here we assign a method. Here we just assign the code. Now the beauty of this is, this does not bloat our code. If we're only going to do this one time, this does not bloat the code. Here we're having to create methods with names and everything else that makes our code much bigger than it needs to be, just to execute it one time. Instead of doing all that, we can do all that with one line of code here. And we can change the meaning of it as we need to. Now let's do one more example. This time let's do the average of the numbers. Now that would be a double. And notice up here that our delegate returns an integer. So let's create another delegate. Call it double. We'll call it average. We'll pass it an int of numbers. And now let's create the code for the average. And to do that, we will come in here and we will say average. Remember, average is our new delegate up here, up there. We give it a name. It's equal to, and now we return a double of the total, which is up here, minus the count over here. Why do I have a squiggly there? Maybe it's length. Let's try it in length. Okay? So we take the length and we divide that into the total to get our average. And now to execute that, we just say double average equal average. Like that. And let's create one more contour line over here. Let's scroll down. We'll come in here and we'll say the average of the numbers is, we'll put in the value for average here. And we'll just give it a couple of decimal places. Let's give it 1. And let's see what happens. Execute this. And we look at our code. And we have the average of the numbers is 38.0. Okay. So that is how we do delegates. And I hope you have enjoyed this short tutorial. And stick around, later we'll have some more. Thank you.